folks, thank you very much. Welcome to another Right Stuff. Appreciate it. It's Wednesday, the 22nd of October. We've got loads to get through today, so let's meet our panel. First up is comic Stephen K. Amos.
Morning.
Oh, we had a good laugh yesterday, didn't we?
Oh, my goodness. What was he like? I think it was short man angry syndrome. He really threw me then. I was like, oh, my goodness.
Bill Oddie we're talking about.
We're talking about the lovely Bill Oddie.
Yeah.
Very angry, very angry man. And I'm like...
Shut in a little wooden hut on his own for large amounts of time, isn't he?
Staring at birds.
Desperate to talk to somebody.
There you go, we've seen Larry Turner as well. He is really charming.
He didn't like me very much. Lots of people don't like me very much.
What did he say?
But, you know, he said, I'm never going to believe anything you ever say. I thought, has he been married to me? I don't think so.
I think he actually said, I'm not going to believe anything you say. Tweet. It was quite weird because, you know, having grown up watching the goodies, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to be such a laugh. It's going to be whoa, but then...
But he's charming. He's charming off. It's just, I don't know. I think I blame Never Mind the Buzzcocks. I don't know if you ever saw that. They were horrible, and it all went horribly wrong for him there. Anyway, let's hope it goes well today for our special guest this morning. It's grumpy old rocker Rick Wakeman.
Bill Oddie actually sang on one of my albums.
Did he?
I'm not joking. He came up... I did an album called Criminal Record, and there was a track on there called The Breathalyzer, ironically enough, and there was a little blues number at the end. Now, Bill used to sing in a blues band.
Because he had quite a few hits, didn't
he? He did, yeah, and he came over to Switzerland. He sang the... It only took about 20 minutes, and we went out for dinner, and there was about 20 of us. Absolutely, and he's only little.
Yeah.
And he not only ate his own meal, but he ate everything else that was left on the table as well. And I think that's why he likes birds, because he just pecks at everything. He was just going... He was saying, do you want to eat that? Do you want to... You don't want to eat that, do you? All right, I'll have it. And this little man, he just ate everything. It's fantastic, yeah.
Now, Rick, as you may well know, is a keyboard legend. He toured the world with Yes, staged King Arthur the musical on ice.
You've got to, haven't you, really?
And wore some of the dodgiest garb ever seen in the history of rock. Where did you get that cape? Anyway, despite 3 heart attacks brought about by excessive drinking, Rick has somehow managed to recall the highs and lows of his career in this. It's an absolute blinding read. Grumpy old rock star. I mean, it's not even every page there's a funny story. It's about every paragraph. Eating curries on stage.
Yeah, well, it's just nothing normal ever happens to me.
No.
And it occurred to me, well, to a great friend of mine who's a publisher. He said, how long have you been in the business? I said, well, about 40 years, and plus all the things that happened before. He said, but nothing normal ever happens, does it? I said, no. He said, well, if you work on the principle that, say, 4 daft things happen to you every year, he said, you've probably got about 160 to 200 stories. And I said, really? And we started dishing them out. And he's right. And there are. And they're just completely...
And you can remember them, because I mean, which makes you unique in the world of rock,
well,
really.
Well, there are some stories, for example, that sort of were helped by some of my band, because, for example, there's one story in the book about when you're on the road for a long time, you can get a bit tetchy at times. You know, you're on the road for 6 months at a time, especially in the 70s. And I had a singer called Ashley Holt who was fantastic at sort of knowing how to cheer people up. And I'll tell you this as quick as I can. This is pre the days of the Berlin Wall coming down and pre the days of security at Heathrow Airport and things. And things were getting a bit tetchy. 15 of us travelling, one plus my manager, so 7 in the band and 8 in the crew. And we arrived at Heathrow. It was a bit tetchy to fly to Munich. And Ashley had this big hold-all bag. And I say before the days of security. And I said, what you got there? Ashley said, to cheer everybody up. Don't worry, it's all right. He said, I'll give it out when we go through into the departure lounge. So we got through the departure lounge, and he opened it up, and he'd been to one of these war surplus places, and he bought 15 pairs of World War I flying goggles. You know, those and he bought 15 of those leather helmets that they put on from World War I, and he gave us one each. And Alex Scott, our Scottish manager, said, whatever you're thinking of doing, don't do it. The Germans have got no sense of doing it. He also got, this is about 76, he got a tape recorder, a portable one, with a speaker in, which were unheard of back then. They were brand new, high. I said, what's that for? He said, wait and see. He said, when we got on the plane, he said, all spread out. He said, when I give you the cue, put the stuff on. So we got on this plane. 2 minutes into Munich, the old captain comes and says, we will shortly be landing in the Munich airport. Please put the tray tables and the seats in the upright position. That was the cue, right? So we all got the flying helmets on and the goggles. Gets out the old tape recorder, presses on, damn Buster's March. So
it was the 70s.
but the classic was we landed. Everybody was humming it, going, we're going, Biggles flies undone, and all that kind of thing. And we landed, and Alex Scott, the manager, he said, all right, he said, you've had your fun now. He said, remember, the Germans got no sense of humour, said, put everything away. Of course, that's red rag to a bull. And we goose-stepped, 15 of us, in a line, down to passport control. Goose-step.
And they let you in?
No, they kept us for 11 hours.
Now, how great that the world has changed. Can you imagine doing that now? You'd be in Guantanamo Bay.
In all fairness, they actually thought it was really funny, but they just had to do their bit and put us in the... We just had a great laugh.
Now, I'm talking of great laughs. Your track record on the romance stakes is one to behold, really, isn't it? More divorces than Larry Turner.
Do not see my pain. No, I know I almost fell over when you said this morning you are...
I'm getting married for the 4th time, yeah.
4th time?
Yeah, but it's great. It's lovely. I mean, I'm really happy. Okay. And I think that's what counts for you. I've never been happier. I mean, I was a little sad driving down here because, as I said to you, the fact that I passed 7 houses I used to own, and that's really tough. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very, very happy.
Do you like the idea of just getting married, or would you not just think of living with someone?
I'm old-fashioned. I mean, we've lived together nearly 5 years now, you know, and I think
romantic at heart.
You know, because I think it's important that you find out, you know, if you can live with somebody. I think it should almost be compulsory. I mean, everybody out there, you should all live with each other, and then decide who you want to marry.
But then it doesn't always work.
No.
That is how the Right Stuff audience works. They do all live together in a commune. They take turns sleeping with each other. It's
do they really?
Bizarre satanic
do they
cult.
really?
Yeah. And we bring them over and we feed them, and then we send them back for more.
And whereabouts is this?
You may ask. Listen, it is great to have you here. And
Thank you, sir.
I say once again, the book is hilarious. It really is. OK, let's tell you about today's show. It's going to kick off this morning with Rick taking us through the papers. Nice and Amy, thanks for that. Time to look at the papers. What's making news today?
Well, on the front page of the Mail, of course, like on most of the papers, there's the whole George Osborne and Mandelson thing, which I have to say, when
the story is that...
Well, the story, of course, is that that they were all on this yacht with this Russian, and he's got lots of money, and really, Mandelson, actually, while he was there... I find it really strange that he was sitting down having a conversation with George Osborne in the first place, having a little chat. And that I find it amazing that, actually, Mandelson should say to George Osborne a few poisonous things about our glorious leader, because you sort of know what's going to happen.
Well, it's all to do with this, the rules of the club, aren't they? The unwritten rules are that you don't release private conversations to do political opponents down, and George Osborne did.
You see, so, for example, you came round to my house for dinner.
Is that an invite?
You're most welcome.
Excellent, right. I'll go there on Saturday night.
Brilliant.
It's quite a small house now, isn't it? After the 7 you've already given away.
Well, we eat
it's the ice cream van on the corner of my street.
So we eat in the porch. If you come up for dinner, and let's just say, for example, I mean, it sounds a bit silly. I told you something about Lowry in private, and then you came on the show and you told it.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't go to the newspaper. I'd phone you up and say, Matthew, we're mates. We've been mates for a long time. You know, that
your name's not Peter Mandelson.
Yeah, that's true. But the moment I saw the Mandelson sort of stuff come out, you just knew what was going to happen. You just knew. I mean, and I think all the papers, I mean, they're not daft. They were just waiting for it to happen. And
so the suggestion is that George Osborne said, repeated gossip that he shouldn't have done about Peter Mandelson, and now Peter Mandelson, the allegation is, has got him back by exposing this idea that he tried to get money out of this Russian oligarch. Of course, the big phrase is no honour among thieves. That's what comes to mind.
That's nicely put.
Yeah.
By the way, were any of you invited on this yacht in Corfu? Because everybody else is.
No, it's easy to find, apparently, because there's lots of toys overboard. They're all thrown. And that's all it is. You know, I just think it's so stupid. I would like to think. I mean, I met George Osborne once.
You are a paid-up member of the Tory party.
I am, but that's. So that's got nothing to do with because I don't think that George should have sort of, if he did leak the things about Mandelson, I think that was wrong.
Right.
And I would like, I have met him once, only to say hello, admittedly, but I do think that because there's no money actually change hands, nothing was actually done at the end of the day. It was. I would like to think that he would come out of this the other side a much wiser man because he's a clever guy. We need clever guys.
We'll talk more about George Osborne's role later on. Yeah. What else have we got?
Moving on. This is in the Daily Telegraph, which is about the millions of savers face losses after insurers impose exit fees. I mean, this whole financial thing has totally bewildered me that that banks and insurance companies and all sorts of lending companies and that sort of get it all wrong and have a sort of a spending spree themselves, and then we have to pay for it in various different ways. And they're now frightened of money being taken out of all the institutions.
It's all the with profits things.
That's
with
right.
Profits bonds, with profits saving schemes.
You know, I mean, it doesn't affect me because I gave it all away in the last divorce. So I don't
It's the only time I've ever thought, thank God I don't have a pension. I may have a house that's worth about 2p, but at least that's something physical. I might at some point in a few years I'll be able to sell. But pensions, I mean, I just...
But that's the tragedy, though, isn't it? Because we were all encouraged to have a pension, save for the future. And people were doing that, and now look.
But they're changing the rules here.
That's the thing. That's the thing that's wrong. It's changing the rules so that it's, we don't like the rule. And we're frightened that people might take their money out now before the end of the term because they're frightened that they might lose it all anyway. So what we'll do, we'll impose a huge fine on them.
£4,000
to take your money out because we want you to leave it with us because we may have it anyway. And that's so
changing the rules is the bit I object to. I think it's unfair.
It's when you actually realise that it's the financial institutions that run the country, not the country.
I've got an endowment from the 1980s, and it's so red flagged. You know, every time it arrives, it's worth less than it was, and I'm still paying it.
I've got one too.
Yes.
I have to pay for it until I'm 70.
I think I've got about 5 years to go, by which time it'll be worth about a round of drinks at the pub, won't it?
I've got a post office account.
Have you?
Very wise.
I had it since I was a little boy. It's got £3 in it. There's no interest.
Stephen, you're staying remarkably quiet. How is your second home?
I'm one of my stories. I'm really quite worried about it.
We're all holding hands together.
That's like the audience.
I have literally just bought a new house, and it's when I see all this doom and gloom, I'm just thinking I've just made the most ridiculous thing ever because people are going to be laughing at me. The vendors are going to be going.
You want people to laugh at you?
Well, yeah, but on stage, not going. Oh, look at that idiot! He bought that house. Now it's worth £1.
No, we're like the people in the water after the Titanic has gone down. We are all now clutching at wreckage.
You can't really go wrong with Windsor Castle, though, can you?
Now, one more from you, please, Rick.
Yeah, this is the take your drink to the checkouts of shame. This is where some of the supermarkets have decided that what they're going to do is have a special row for the drink for people who just buy drink. Express checkout. When I don't mind because I'm not allowed to drink anymore, so I don't, and I'm just fed up sometimes when you're behind somebody who's bringing out bottle after bottle after bottle. So I'm very happy that they can go to another.
But they don't reckon this is a sort of thing of shame for people. Surely it's just a quicker way.
If you want to do a thing of shame,
to the park with your cider.
If you want to do a thing of shame, have a special checkout for the ladies that after they've got everything, get out the 300 coupons with 1p off for that one and 2p off for that. You know, and
they are somebody we should admire in these current credit crunch times. We should all be using coupons. In fact, I was in Tesco yesterday using a coupon.
If your ex-wives had used more coupons, you'd have a bigger smile than you have on your face today.
So what did you use with your coupon then?
Well, no, it was a coupon that was complicated. Money off my Tesco shopping in general.
Oh, really?
See, as bargain. I'll take you to Lidl sometime and Netto.
But that was only one coupon, though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was just the one.
No, but when you get the dear ladies and they've got about 40 coupons, this one's got half a p off, and then they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that one ran out on the 13th of November or whatever it is." Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I've got this one here, and you just sit there.
Just go to Waitrose. Nobody's shopping there anymore. You have no queues at all.
Lowry. But I don't think that booze lane is a lane of shame. That's I'm partying. Look at me. The lane of shame is people with those money bags with pennies in it. Just go, I've got things to do. Come on.
No, I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Okay. What have you got for us, Larry?
Well, let's start with something also more about money.
OK, what have you got for us, Larry?
Well, let's start with something also more about money. Feeling poor, blame it on the hello factor, says today's Daily Mail. This is a new report from the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. And what they're saying is although the gap is actually closing between rich and poor in this country faster than other countries,
right.
We still feel much poorer than we are because we're reading all these celebrity magazines full of people in these fabulous homes. We think, why haven't I got a home like that? Absolutely, I can see the sense of it. I think it's a very good idea. Dylan Jones always
told me GQ is aspirational, but to who? Who can afford any of the stuff they have there?
Yes, yes. The same report also turns up in an article in The Guardian, and they've taken a different tack on it. They're not talking so much about the hello element. They're talking about the gap between rich and poor. It's interesting that what they've looked at the figures, and from 2000, the gap in the UK has closed slightly between the rich and the poor. However, it's still a 20% bigger gap than it was in 1985. So we are a more divided nation than we were in 1985. And how long have we had a Labour government? Quite a long time, haven't we?
But I despair as well about the people who would sit at home reading all these glamorous magazines going, one day, maybe don't do that. Why do that to yourself?
No, I am quite surprised to learn that we are one of the world's most unequal countries.
We are, although the gap is, as I said, narrowing quicker than some other countries.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Does it not?
No.
You know why? It's because Hello Magazine are going to the celebs and saying, we'll come and do your house. And you go, well, I haven't got much in it. They say, well, we'll give you $250,000 to put some nice stuff in it so we can come and take your photo. It's like they'll pay for the weddings and all the various bits and pieces.
No, not pay for yours. I thought you could do with the cash. It's going to whip round.
We had an offer, we wouldn't do it. No, we're doing it. We're going to be really, really quiet.
Right, well, no, I won't say that. Carry on. Carry on, shall we?
I'm a really quiet person. What are you doing?
Let's do 5 simple things a day to stay sane, stay scientists. This is in today's Telegraph. Interesting, actually. You know this 5 a day... I'm going to carry on. 5 a day fruit and veg thing.
That's the way you tell them. It's good.
And this is 5 a day sort of social and... kind of brain stuff to make yourself feel sane. And
Such as?
Well, I should point out first off that this advice has come from 400 scientists. It's not kind of complete rubbish. It's actually the result of genuine studies. And their 5 a day are, 1, connect. You know, actually talk to people, be involved with your family, make relationships with people, because that's linked to mental health. Number 2 is be active, as we all know. If exercise, again, improves brain health. Number 3 is be curious. This is more about being aware of your surroundings, being what they call...
curious.
Be curious. It's about... None of this is about buying anything. It's about being present and about noticing things around you. Number 4 is learn a new skill, whether it's how to fix a bike or whether it's learning French, because learning things keeps you... No, you just do a little bit of each of those. A little bit of each of those every day. And the last one is give, so actually do something for other people because it makes you feel better about yourself. So I think it's a really good list of things. It's backed firmly by research, and I think it's really good science. Well, no, the research has been very wide-ranging. These people have just pulled together all the research to try and work out what the
How simple can it be? Can it be you getting up out of your bed, walking to work, exercise, saying good morning to a stranger, buying a newspaper, bada boom.
In French.
In another language, but that's it. Simple things done.
A lot of sense to it, a lot of sense.
Getting married?
Get married?
Yeah.
And, sorry, my cynicism.
Would you do it again, Larry, or not?
Would I? No.
No, okay.
No, I would live with somebody, but I wouldn't marry them again.
Don't be so hasty, Larry.
Do something for your mental health. And lastly from me, something to chew over. Eating fast makes you fat. Well, this is not particularly new research. It's saying that people who eat very quickly and, number 1, eat large amounts of food because you're shoveling it down, and 2, you're not waiting for your body to tell you you're full. So if you eat really quickly, you eat more and you get fatter.
OK, all right. Go on then, what have we got, Steve?
Right, I've got more doom and gloom.
Oh,
actually,
great.
And it kind of links on to what Rick was saying. In the Telegraph, we've got the headline that says, house prices, get this, will fall 35% from their peak.
Which was last year.
It was last autumn. And
so a year ago.
Exactly, a year ago. And basically they say that consumer spending, which is closely linked to property sales, is expected to plunge also. And other papers are actually saying it's going to be dropped by 50%, which is very, very alarming. And basically house transactions dropped to a record low.
Everybody says it's alarming. I say again, they were going up 10%, weren't they, at one point, almost month on month. So there has to be a readjustment. And, OK, it is dreadful news for people perhaps not like yourself, but people who bought houses a year ago
Yeah.
to see their values going down. But it wasn't as if people weren't saying this can't go on.
But I think
forever.
I think the thing is, if the plateau had happened in a kind of gradual, natural way, fair enough. But because it was sparked
They
by
didn't
this,
go up on a gentle plateau. They've been going up like
I
that.
don't think, you know, you can argue it was a good thing for prices to go up, but the absolute plummet of prices. If
But
you,
no one was
if you,
complaining,
hang
well,
on a second. If you are a family who has had to remortgage because they weren't managing to meet their bills, and now you find that you are about to go into negative equity, I don't think we should be saying to these people, well, it's your own fault. Did you not read the financial pages a year ago? No. This is a problem that's been caused globally, and there are a lot of victims in this country.
It is interesting that you can go into a garage and buy a showroom and buy a new car for 40 grand on the Never Never, drive it out, you've already dumped 20 grand.
Yeah.
And so that means you probably owe 30 grand on the car, more than your actual car's worth. And nobody bats an eyelid at doing that.
no.
And
You can be 30 grand negative equity in your property, and everybody sort of, you know, goes up in arms.
I think there was a tremendous greed fueling the housing boom that was shared across the land. A tremendous greed
I think that's
to
unfair.
get on and make money
It
out
was
of
a
it because everybody else
desperation.
was.
It was because people knew that pensions weren't doing very well. The panic of,
Yeah,
I've
no,
got
that's
to
a fair
provide
point,
for myself my
pensions.
old age, therefore I'll put my money into property. Nobody, if you talk about greed, these are people who are hard-working people. Paying a mortgage is hard work. And particularly people on average income who work really hard to pay their mortgage and now find their house is worth less than they paid for it. They deserve nothing but sympathy. They don't deserve to be told they were stupid or greedy.
And plus, all those people have been told from time since I can remember, put your money in property, bricks and mortar. You'll never lose.
Yeah.
Now people are losing, and also all these.
But long term, you never
they
do.
won't, I don't think.
Long term, you
10
never
years,
do.
maybe.
You've just got to see it
Yeah.
through.
If you could hang on by your fingertips to pay the mortgage, that's the issue.
Okay, on a slightly lighter note, this is in The Guardian G2 about an author by the name of Ian Sinclair who has, get this, he's been banned in Hackney. Hackney of all
Socialist
places.
Republic of
Yes,
Hackney,
because he actually went off about the Olympics. Basically, this guy was allowed into the libraries of Stoke Newington because he was part of a panel celebrating a raft of local authors in Hackney. And the libraries invited him back to launch his own book. And then they found out that he had also mentioned things that would be detrimental to the Olympics coming to the area of Hackney.
Slagged it off.
Slagged it off, basically. He said things like the Olympic Park in Lower Lee Valley was the destruction of the Manor Garden allotments, the eviction of travellers, and the famous legacy revealed as nothing more than a gigantic shopping mall. So he's basically dissed it.
Right.
And so what happened was his book launch was subsequently withdrawn. So he can't go into Hackney libraries. Whee! Can't go into libraries.
That is freedom of speech being curtailed there.
Exactly. He was not allowed because he's deemed to be controversial.
He's not like the only person to say the Olympics. It could turn out to be a great white elephant, not unlike the Millennium Dome. No one wants to rent the stadium, do they? They're struggling to find anyone to take that on already.
But I was going to say, I was at the Dome, I think about a month ago, and what they've done to it now is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's
And what did it take? It
fantastic.
took no government involvement and private finance and initiative to get it going.
So maybe the Olympics should be no government involvement. Well, there's a thought.
Yeah, I could take it on.
Yeah.
And finally, I think my most favourite picture of the year has got to be in The Sun, where the headline is "Off with the Ed." And it's a picture of the Queen standing next to Headmaster Jeremy Hibbins as he sticks his tongue out. And look at that.
Well, Queenie's chewing a wasp, isn't she?
And she does not look amused at all.
All right, guys, nice one. We'll leave it there, and because I want to get on to George Osborne, and we're going to run out of time on him if we're not careful.